Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today is the 26th of June, 2022. Today we have our 76th International English Online meeting with a very important and nice topic, which is face-to-face, online and hybrid classes, mental health matters. So thank you, Araceli Salas in Mexico, Julio Valladares in Peru, Gladys Arias in Colombia, Marco Antonio Aparicio in Mexico, and Denis Montaño in Ecuador. So let me share my screen so we know what we are going to do this morning. Okay, so okay, here it is, our 70, well, it should say 76, I don't know. So take a moment to reflect, Araceli. Read it out and tell us what you think.
Every teacher has tough classes. It is a part of the journey. The goal isn't to get the good class. The goal is to grow and cultivate one. Yes, definitely, I agree. I think that during the pandemic and even in this moment, the most important is to take care of the person on the other side, either on the bench or on the other side of the screen. Knowledge will come later. Yes, the first thing is to cultivate care to help them grow.
Yes, thank you so much. Julio, can you give us a hand with the next one, please?
Online learning is not it's not the next big thing. It is the now big thing. Wow, yeah, definitely, yes. It is a now big thing, but it doesn't mean that we're going to throw away everything that we've learned and we've used before the online learning. Yes, again, online learning is just the use of technology to teach, and it's the teacher who does the job, not the machine, not the clicking, not the Kahoot. No, it's the teacher. And I think that's my opinion. Sometimes teachers tend to forget that, and they leave all the job to the e-tools and the LMS, and that's not really helpful in terms of learning for our students.
Yes. Raj, thank you. Could you please read it out and let us know what you think about it?
So often you find that the students you're trying to inspire are the ones that end up inspiring you. I think this really speaks to the mutuality of the teacher and student in the classroom. We both are synergistically working with each other.
Yeah, thank you. Gladys, in Colombia?
Yes, dear. So the resource that all is each other, sorry. Without collaboration, our growth is limited to our own perspectives. This is our John Midham. Wow, so for sure, this is a very interesting idea. I totally agree about that. I think that alone is hard. This is like an invitation to also for it's important to learn to teach our students also to work in the same way. That is excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we can watch more than 75 international meetings recorded in our YouTube channel. So who is presenting soon? We will have Claudia Vanini from Peru on Sunday, 17th of July. She will be talking to us about using digital tools in the classroom. Then we will have our first international roundtable, which will have 4 teachers from Peru talking about teaching and learning English in Peru, reality and challenges. We will do the same with teachers from Ecuador, Bolivia, Colombia, Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and I don't know what other countries. And also on Sunday, the 7th of August, we will have Ivan Suazo from Costa Rica talking about examining the source of our words and actions. Then the second roundtable of professors from Bolivia, teaching and learning English in Bolivia. And then the roundtable of teaching English and learning English in Colombia. So who is presenting today? This on our 76 International English Online, we have Gladys Rodriguez from Universidad Santo Tomás in Tunja, beautiful city. Araceli Salas from the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla in Puebla. Denis Montaño from Yachai University in Ecuador. And finally, Julio Valladares from Universidad de Piura, Peru. So let's go straight to the first question. And the first question is, Marco Antonio, can you please read the first question?
What are the challenges and difficulties in these three types of classes?
So that is the first question for our 4 guest speakers. Who wants to start? Let's ask for volunteers this morning. Thank you, Dennis.
Yes, well, when you invited me to do this presentation, I was kind of happy about it because it has been something that I have been presenting since 2017, maximizing the effectiveness of blended learning courses, online courses, cooperative learning in online courses, and all of these topics. So now that we go back to classes after the pandemic, I see a lot of things here. And one of those, and I believe it's a difficulty, is differentiate what really the three mean, okay? Because sometimes we believe that we know what face-to-face classes are, that we know what online classes are, and that we, of course, the combination of both, blended learning, that we also know what it is and how to work on it. But I've realized that there is a mistake that we teachers make when talking about the classes in the pandemic. A lot of people will say that they had online classes. Oh, we work on online classes through the pandemic, and that's not real. Okay, I know online classes are, and I have here one of the definitions that I had in another presentation. Online teaching refers to courses that are delivered completely online. There are no physical or on-campus class sessions. Okay, so when we refer to this, we have a scenario there that we're not considering. Okay, I just went through an online course, and it was fully online. There was a lot of asynchronous learning, autonomous learning, and the only contact I had with the teacher was through email or through messages. Okay, and I know there are different ways of having online classes, but the ones we had during the pandemic were basically not online classes. For online classes, normally we begin with backward planning. Okay, what are the learning objectives of what you want? And then you start developing the course. Okay, the course is there already full, complete for a student to go in and have it. What we had was not that. What we had was probably a tech-rich instruction. Okay, we were using technology to do the same work at the same place, time, and space. I mean, we were teaching the same way we were teaching face-to-face, but through Zoom. Okay, what teachers call autonomous learning is sending homework. That's not autonomous learning, okay? And I believe, and I'm not gonna, become too extended on this because I know we have a lot of great speakers here, and I know most of them. But I do want to leave that there so we can discuss a little bit about it. All teachers will say, and students, online classes don't work. I have heard that from probably 90% of my students and teachers. And it's a mistake because we were not doing online classes. We were doing a mix of different things that are not completely online.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree. Yes, in fact, that is called emergency remote teaching. Yes, that was called emergency remote teaching, and it was just a temporary situation, a temporary temporary way to solve the situation and to help our students, not to let them out there. So yes, definitely online classes, online instruction is something different, and that is planned to be delivered, to be learned. But what we were doing was just to find a solution to going home and work there. So right now, for example, we can start planning for future online classes, but we just reacted to something that needed to be fixed, needed to be solved in that moment. I think that was the most difficult thing for teachers and for students, to get used to something that was not planned, something that was not expected, and that's why we were so confused, all of us. I was also, in fact, the first semester I didn't dare teaching through Zoom because I really didn't know how to do that. But now I like it. I can say that I like it. I am planning my classes in a better way. And also we need to start, well, not also, I mean that we need to start planning for the future. Yes.
Yeah. I need some couple of interesting ideas that Dennis and Araceli mentioned, about what online learning and teaching really means or implies, and that we were not ready for that, and that's true. So we were just thrown in the deep end of the pool, and let's learn how to swim this wave, no? But I think now that we have the opportunity, one of the difficulties that we have, it doesn't matter with either face-to-face or online or hybrid teaching and learning context. I think we have to learn how to deal with each type of teaching learning context we have. Another difficulty that I may have is that we need to start sharing. We don't share. I mean, in Peru, at least, we are not used to sharing with other peers, and that's something that helps us with our mental health and well-being. We don't share. We don't know how to share. Yes. So I see that as a couple of difficulties. And now that we are going back to face-to-face, I think we should start what Araceli mentioned about getting ready for the next step. No, so yes, it involves independent work on the part of our students, and let's start giving them the opportunity to be independent students and learners. Now, and the question is, do we do it? No. Let's work on collaborative work. Okay, but let's do it in a face-to-face, so they will be ready to work when we go back, or when we use the online environment, teaching learning environment. They will be ready. Yes, because we have already experienced that. Okay, and that's true what Dennis mentioned about that students, they don't feel like so comfortable in an online teaching learning context. No, and teachers, I don't know how you feel about that, but now I'm super happy because I can see your faces. But when I'm teaching my students, it's like, gosh, and that's not the kind of thing I need to see faces. I need to talk to people. I need to see if they are bored, smiling, or whatever. But that's what I need, and I had to get used to that, and that causes frustration somehow. Yes, and my mental health obviously is affected. Yes, so if you see me doing something like clicking like this, is because it's the consequence of that teaching learning context. No, but I think we need to start taking advantage of what we've learned, forcefully, but we did learn on the online or COVID or pandemic era, yes, and then apply it into the new context that is going to be the use of online and face-to-face classes.
And finally, Gladys.
Thank you, Jaimito. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that also for everybody, it was a shock, right? It was really incredible, the situation we lived. At the beginning, for sure, we were thinking, okay, this is just for a week. Okay, go to home, just relax and do the classes. This is just a week. Next, it was a month, 2 months, and it continued. So really, it was very difficult for students and also for teachers. We were not ready, for sure, absolutely. We were not ready to do that learning and teaching exercises, impossible. Well, what the university did, in our case, the Santo Tomás University, Tunja, Colombia, they immediately prepared like some specific measures. They got platforms such as Zoom, also Blackboard. They train us in different platforms, but it was also not easy for teachers, needed for students, right? We really didn't know how to use those platforms. And also something we lived was that, for example, we, at the beginning, we learned how to use Blackboard about a month, right? Next, the university changed the platform and we had to learn another way to teach and so on, like three ways to teach in different platforms. Well, also, what about the material we were using? Another shock, you know. So we try to do our best, you know, through the screen, but also a problem with the students because many of them didn't have, for example, computer, internet. My goodness, it was crazy. Also, the university tried to plan to give computers for some students, for example, in the way that they could take the classes. Next, I think that after about 6 months, I think, we started improving our methodologies, our resources, and everything. But also illnesses in students and teachers grew up a lot. So, but also through time, I think with that we got some skills. Also, we try to improve our methodologies. Things were changing, I think, in a good way. But also, it is not the same like face-to-face classes, you know, because in many cases, for example, students don't use their cameras, or they argued that they don't have a computer with camera. And in many cases, we didn't know our students, just the names in the screens, and that's it. Well, but now in this moment, I think that we are very happy because we return to face-to-face. And all those problems, difficulties that we lived during the pandemic, now this is a strength for us because we got some skills, not at all, but some skills in how to use virtual tools. Now this is very nice that we can, for example, use meetings like this, Skype, Zoom, and many tools that we can use to have real-time meetings. Also, we try to include those tools in our daily life teaching these days in order to improve. But in my opinion, and in the opinion maybe of our teachers here in Colombia, we don't change the face-to-face for virtual classes. Okay, but this is an experience we have to live. And also, this is very important that we take advantage of that particular situation, you know, because it is really a particular event and we have to take advantage of that moment and take tools to improve our teaching, our lives, and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you. So everyone in the first question mentioned about learning to share, that there were misunderstandings, that we need to know about what collaborative and autonomous learnings are, that we needed to learn a lot about new platforms and how to use material. And something important that we will mention, I'm sure, in the second question, it's about our feelings. Okay, the second question is, please, Dennis, can you please read? Somebody raised his hand. Tanya, please. Hello, Tania.
Oh, hello, teachers. Hello, everybody, everyone. So I want to like to share my experience at a public school. As you know, I work.
Sorry, Tania. Where are you from?
Piura, sorry, Piura, Peru.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes. So I would like to share. I repeat. I would like to share my experience at a public school. I work at Fe Alegría School.
Tell us.
Fe Alegría 49 because there are 81 schools of Fe Alegría in Peru. Yeah, so my experience with returning to the schools in face-to-face class with face-to-face classes is a little shock because the time, due to the time. Yes, I think the main problem is the time, because when we, the students were connected online for classes by WhatsApp. Basically, we work with WhatsApp because they don't have access to internet at the homes, right? The students studying at a public school. Yeah, but time is the same problem now, because we waste time saying to the students, for example, pay attention, be quiet. No, most of the cases, but yes, we waste time in that. And apart, go to the board, erase the board, write your sentence. So for the instructions, you waste time too. When we study during the pandemic, the lockdown in WhatsApp basically, students work quickly, fast. Yes, because I upload the activity first, the complete activity, but after I was uploaded question by question, right? So for question one, for example, the students had 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to answer the question, no more. Yes, yeah, really, they answer the question in the time I gave to them. But now in face-to-face classes, no, face-to-face classes is not possible, because I repeat, with the instructions only. Yes, the students need to go to the board and write the sentence. Think of first, write the sentence, erase the sentence, pronounce the sentence. So it is longer the time we need to perform our classes in face-to-face classes, I think. We discarded in the lockdown times the use of platform, because you know, at public schools, the students cannot access to the to internet, right? So we work basically, I repeat, with WhatsApp. So I think the time it could be considered again, yes, to work with hybrid classes. Yeah, but in this moment they are discarded. The hybrid classes are discarded because the rules, the ministerial rules says we must return to classes in 100%. 100%. So we cannot use more the WhatsApp. Yes, we need to have a permission of the principal to use again the WhatsApp, because it's forbidden. It's forbidden. So that's my experience. The time, yes. So we are wasting some time in face-to-face classes. Yes, at least at public schools. I don't know in private too, but at public schools, yes.
Thank you so much, dear Tania, for such important pieces of information about teaching in public schools in Peru. And I admire people from public schools, because teaching through WhatsApp, I cannot imagine. Must be really hard. So thank you so much. The second question, please, Julio, could you please read it? Can you see?
Let me see. What are the opportunities you can find? Sorry, I cannot see it. I cannot read it.
Sorry, I did it on purpose.
Okay. Oh gosh, I got lost. Speaking of you,
Don't worry, it
what are
happens
the
to the best speakers.
opportunities? What are the opportunities you can find? Can you help me here?
In each type of these classes.
Okay, what are the opportunities you can find in each type of these classes?
Yes.
Okay, the opportunities to learn, the typical, not to unlearn, learn and relearn. Now we remember 10 years ago, everybody talked about that. Now we have the chance to do that as teachers, no? And something that I think it's not only about teaching, it's about learning, no? And sometimes we just focus too much on the teaching, and we don't know what about the learning, no? So if these opportunities in each of these teaching learning contexts, yes, are we giving also opportunities to learn? How do we know our students learn? And that's my concern nowadays, yes, because we've been talking about the use of technology, we've been trained, it's true, as Gladys mentioned, no, the use of LMS and different platforms. But again, what about the learning? Is it really happening? How do we know? Just because they click in our assessment activities and they get a 20 or they get an A, how do we know they are learning? And that's a big question for us. No? So in face-to-face, yeah, we could see at least the advance. In online, we don't know. Hybrid could be, that could be maybe the solution, yes? But we have to work on a structured way of dealing with that, no? As Araceli mentioned, as Dennis, I think Dennis is he's had some experience in doing some research on this and see if really learning really happens in a hybrid or in online, in a completely online environment. Some people can learn in an online environment. For example, me, I need, as I said before, that social contact at least once during the course. No, I've done also a complete online course where I just got contact with my tutor through just the email, yes, or the chat. But I had other expectations from that sort of course. But a regular student, can they learn? Yes, they can, but what do we have to do? That's a big question for us. No, that's a big question. And nowadays I'm reading that why not letting our students use their mobile phones in class? That's one thing, that's a big challenge. But then I read that in France, after having tried that out, they are saying, no, let's not get them to use the mobile phones in class because it creates sort of chaos there. So there they are. The challenges, we have plenty. Now, what do we have to do now? That's my question.
Find opportunities.
Yeah. Well,
okay, Gladys in Colombia or Araceli? Gladys.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear Jaimito. Well, about opportunities, I highlight that really we got or improved the virtual skills, yeah, for teachers and also for students. Well, I think that in any way, teachers, also students, they foster autonomous work because we were forced to do autonomous work. It was like a mandatory way to continue with teaching and learning. Well, but the matter is that we were not ready. I think so. We didn't have the routine to stay with a screen all day and things like that. Something good also, we could get a lot of materials through the web, a lot, I think so. But in many cases, we didn't know how to use them, how to advance our learning and teaching. And why? The matter is that we were ready for that. Really, we didn't know. In that way, teachers try to use different strategies, different methodologies in order to continue, because the matter was that we couldn't stop. And also in any way, the technology helped us not to stop, That is something that really we appreciate. In any way we could have contact with our students, and we try to do our best and guide our teaching and learning. Nowadays we can see the results. The education was not good, I think, during that period of time. Because because there were a lot of factors that we have to have in mind. For example, here in Colombia, what we realized was that many students, for example, had to work, yeah, with their parents, because many of them didn't have work during the pandemic because the situation. And many students really, instead of attending to the different classes, they had to work. And many things, many factors that really affected education. Nowadays, when we are face to face again, we can see the results of that kind of education. Many students have problems to share each other, you know? Also, if we are going to see really their level of learning, their knowledge, not very good, I think so. For example, at the beginning of this semester, in February, I mean, we had to do like a review about many topics, more or less in the first month. That was incredible because the teachers wanted to start with their classes, and they said, my goodness, the students don't know many things. I don't know what happened with them. Okay, do the review, do the review. And it was about a month. Next, they continued with the next topics. But this is something we have to face and also go ahead. That is, thank you.
Thank you, Gladys. Back in Mexico, Araceli.
Well, I couldn't just separate each one of these modalities, but what I did was like what we got from all this experience. And I think that we had big opportunities. We had opportunities to reflect and to get insights from ourselves and from the others. For example, I was listening and to my peers here, and they were self-reflecting. Julio was talking about this self-evaluation. We had the opportunity. First, we didn't have that because of the time that Tanya was mentioning. We were in this rhythm. We couldn't make a stop. We couldn't stop and start going into ourselves and start reflecting. This gave us the opportunity to know more about ourselves and to get and to relate to other people in a different way. For example, we became more self-efficient. We learned how to be more self-efficient, to manage our own time, to evaluate our own way, to learn in a different way. I think this was a great opportunity. In a different way, we wouldn't have had that opportunity to stop and to make these reflections. But at the same time, we could relate to students in a different way. For example, what I learned, and I think this was something that I started doing during the pandemic. It was okay for students to talk about their emotions. Yes, it was okay for students to feel bad, to feel sad. We cried together, we laughed together. I had let me tell you that we had last year, we had a Halloween online. And it was at night. We told horror stories, and it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. Some students even made up and wore some costumes. I still remember those stories. They were so scary, and the environment was very good. I think that my students were happy. We learned, as you say, we had to relearn to do other things, but this was a great opportunity. Of course, we learn it was a big opportunity to know more about ourselves. I have learned that I can learn by myself. I have always been a promoter of autonomy because I know that I can learn in that way. But I also understand that there are people who need different kind of support. So yes, this for me, this has been a great opportunity.
Yes, that's true. Thank you, dear Araceli. And finally, for this second question, Dennis Montaño in Ecuador.
Yes. Well, the question is about opportunities, and in each of these three scenarios or environments. But before presenting the opportunities that we might find, I've read Dalia's message in the chat box about in face-to-face classes, we have to make a review because not all the students attended to virtual classes or didn't have a good comprehension. I totally agree with you, Dalia. We went back to face-to-face classes back in May 16, last month. And we have, after doing the diagnostic test, we realized that around 40% of our students were in a low knowledge scenario compared to what we used to have before. And this is because of what I mentioned, okay? Being confused about the three different environments. Now, about the opportunities, I really wanna congratulate Tania from Piura because of the work she has been doing. I don't know if you remember, Jaime, we had the teacher from the coast of Ecuador once coming into one of our meetings.
Yes.
The one that she was, to the students who didn't have internet, she was riding her bicycle with a board.
Yes.
And trying to have everyone catch up and not to leave any student behind. Those are the teachers that make us feel that we're working toward a common goal. But then we have the others, the ones that felt comfortable doing this, the ones that now that are face-to-face, don't want to give the extra, work to say it in one way, and that they don't want to make that effort. I had teachers coming back to classes that were really happy. They even came to my office crying, saying like, I didn't realize how nice it was going to be to go back to face-to-face. And they had pictures with the students. Some of them went to look for their online students who are not their students anymore because they're in other levels. I want to meet with you, face-to-face and blah, blah, blah. But then we had the others, the ones that got used to being sitting on a chair and that now that are on face-to-face are trying to go back to that. So I believe that we have a lot of opportunities that we need to consider. The first thing I do believe is like going back to face-to-face classes. It's a huge challenge. It has opportunities, but it's a huge challenge because of all these things you were saying, Jaime, before we begin. Psychological problems of the students. We are going through some of them in the university right now. And it has triggered the authorities to start doing something because of the situation. But in opportunities, we are developing a master's program that we are planning to launch in March next year. And we sent a survey to a lot of the English teachers here in Ecuador. This is a master's program in teaching English as a foreign language and technology applied to education. It's the first master program like that here in Ecuador. It's either teaching English or IT for education. They don't have a combination of both. And one of the comments that we have received in the survey, we have received around 1,000 responses, is that if this is going to be online. Okay, so here we have an opportunity. I know that some people feel that face-to-face classes is what is the best scenario. I believe it is because of the contact you have with students, because of the monitoring you can do, We teach a language. Language needs socializing. Language needs contact. But the pandemic changed the scenario for the future. So it's either we stay behind, or we start preparing ourselves for what is coming. And that's the opportunity to learn what online classes really are. I had my second master's degree in bilingual education on an online university, specialized online university. And I learned a lot that I had not learned before. I got my second master's program from that. And I also finished a program on teacher trainer with the Embassy of the United States here in Ecuador and the University of Arizona, which took me 2 months. And I also learned a lot. So I think Julio was saying, can we learn? Can we really assess and see if people are learning? Yes, we can. But remember, we need to differentiate what is online learning, what is blended learning, and what is face-to-face learning, and not mix the environments and the methodology of teaching into each of them. Now, someone was asking, students don't like this because of certain characteristics. I have here the University of Michigan came up with some characteristics for students, for learners that they need to have in order to go into an online class. Initiative, persistence, organization, engagement. Okay, if they don't have that, they can't go into an online class. I will add this responsibility also. Okay, you need to be very responsible. This was a Spanish university, so I had to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to have my classes. And sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, and it's part of it. So initiative, persistence, organization, engagement, and responsibility. If they don't have that, it's going to be very, very hard. Now, what are the characteristics of an online class? Learning can occur asynchronously. Students work at their own pace based on the teacher's set due dates. Students can reach out to the teacher via email or phone if they need assistance. So if our classes in the pandemic had some of these characteristics, students can work asynchronously with material that we have prepared. Remember, preparing an online course takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time because, as I said, in order to come up with one, you need to go with backward design or backward planning. You begin with the end, it's your exit profile. And based on that, you start planning those classes. And then you start uploading all the material. The student can be in the situation that he can finish the class just by going into the platform and start working by himself. Of course, there are also the classes that you teach, plus other, complements that these classes have. So as an opportunity, I believe that we will have more people, more students trying to have online classes. This first master program that we're launching is going to be blended, or what we call in Spanish semi-presencial. It's going to be online and it's going to be face-to-face. But even though we have the amount of people we need in order to launch it, there is the same percentage of people asking for that course online. So we as university, I'm leading this department and leading the master's program. If we don't notice that there is something being said through this survey, we're going to stay behind. So it's either we need to start planning on doing it online, or we consider like just staying face-to-face, and then somebody else will do it and we will lose that market. So I believe that we need to start preparing ourselves on courses on how to design online classes, blended courses, and then prepare ourselves to be ready for what's coming in the future. Okay, as someone said, I'm not sure if it was Gladys, this type of scenario, the one we had in pandemic, even though it was not the most appropriate one, it let us continue having contact with our students. Okay, if we didn't have this, let's assume we didn't have computers, internet, technology, and we were 50 years ago, 40 years ago, how will we be in contact with our students? Classes would have stopped for 2 years because there was no way of teaching or having contact with students if we were inside our homes in the pandemic. So this is something that we need to consider. How will our educational world will be in 20, 30 years from now?
Yeah, thank you so much, my dear Dennis. So in the first two questions, we have been talking about challenges, difficulties, and opportunities. Do you please have an opinion, dear Raj, about these two first questions, about the challenges, difficulties, and opportunities that our four guest speakers have been talking about?
Yeah, I would like to comment about the different participations of the partners here in Zoom meeting. Yeah, definitely. I think the teacher, this is the chance, the opportunity to be reflective as teachers, because that is really what is the objective, right? Our objective, change the teaching. So we need to have to reflective. We need to have reflective and do our best, as the other partner mentioned too. May a double effort, yeah, I think I consider too, to work, mainly to be engaged with our students, because we have to really, they really learn English. We need to be engaged with our students, with our work. Yes. Now, I would like to mention to my experience at the public school, Fe y Alegría 49, because I had to change the strategies to teach them no more in WhatsApp, right, in virtual classes, but in face-to-face classes. For example, one strategy I change is work with worksheets or handouts. Yes, I hand out mini worksheets to them, because I think I give them the entire worksheet. They don't write instructions, and I think it's important they know the vocabulary of instructions. Yes, so I give many worksheets to them, because in order they write instructions, I copy on the board. Yes, and they familiarize with the vocabulary of instruction, like match, I don't know, label, etc., etc. Yes, for example, that's my strategy. One of my strategies. Other strategy, because we don't have there aren't enough plaques, sufficient plaques in the computer lab, because Fe y Alegría is a jornada escolar completa school, and we have a computer lab with laptops for any of the students. Yes, but there aren't sufficient enough plaques longer, right? So other strategies, go with them to the auditorium where there is a project. Only one, yeah, they don't have more a computer for any one of them, but it's a strategy, because the times change and there are not the material resources we want. Yes, we want now, but yes. So definitely, I repeat, I think we need to, we have to be reflective, do our best, make double effort, mainly to be engaged with our students. Yes, because yes, the goal, the objective is they really learn English. Yes, so that's all. Yes, okay. That's my experience. Yes, change strategies. Yeah, while reflecting.
Thank you, dear Tanya. Raj, could you help us with the third question, please?
Yeah, sure. What should we do as teachers to help our students and ourselves to manage their mental health problems?
Yeah, I guess you need to repeat it, because in my opinion, this is the question, besides the question that Julio asked, are they really learning? Also, mental health problems, Raj. Could you
Shall
please read it
yeah,
again?
I'll read it again. What should we do as teachers to help our students and ourselves, both of them, students and ourselves, to manage mental health problems?
Yeah. So please, Julio, you want to start? Your microphone, Julio.
So I was checking and say, well, what's the difference between mental health and well-being? No, and I think mental health.
Raj will help you with that.
Well, Raj, correct me if I'm wrong, but mental health includes our emotional, the part of the psychological part, and also the social well-being. No? And during these 2 years, we've went from our comfort zone to a chaotic zone when you say, what am I going to do? No, I don't have my students in front of me, and as Dennis mentioned, no, then we mentioned that, yeah, we went onto a teaching learning environment where we just replicate our face-to-face classes on and online in front of a camera, and that causes a lot of stress or cost, and it's still causing a lot of stress. And now we are going back to the face-to-face, and I say, gosh, what am I going to do now? No, Tanya mentioned, now I would prefer to continue working with WhatsApp. And I said, yeah, but Tanya then has to think or rethink, what am I going to do now? Can I use the mobile phone, the WhatsApp in the class? No, I'm not allowed because the Minister of Education prohibits that. And I say, gosh, now I say, how do you feel, Tanya? Tanya maybe say, well, yeah, kind of concerned, kind of worried. So the typical question, how do you feel? Dennis, how do you feel, Marco? How do you feel, Raj? And I say, well, yeah, a little bit tense, but you know, the usual thing. How do you feel? That's a big question, and it's so common and still so, and yet so big. It's, how do you feel? That has to do with the mental health. Do we need, I mean, physical health? Yeah, we need to be in a good, we need to be fit. No, we know that, and I know that I'm failing in that, I know. But,
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
But I understand that that's important, but we don't pay much attention to our mental health. No? And then with this talk, and I say, are we talking about the teacher's mental health or our students' mental health?
Both.
Both. That's it. And I think Gladys, what I said, I don't remember who said that, but we spent, I think it was Gladys, no, we spent like a month getting our students back to track, the usual face-to-face track. And that's, and we couldn't follow the syllabus that we had prepared, but no, because students came back to classes, talking about school students and also university students, with a different mindset. I said, well, they say, teacher, what do I have to do? Teacher, they don't want to take exams, face-to-face exams. Why, teacher? They are afraid. Now, the question is, are we afraid too? I think we are somehow. Yes, yeah. Going back to a face-to-face, and I say, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So
I think that, sorry.
Araceli.
Sorry.
Are you done, Julio? Sorry?
No, I'm not, but.
Okay. Will you please give the Congresswoman Araceli 1 minute to interrupt?
Congresswoman.
Just like at the Congress.
Sorry.
Don't worry, Araceli.
If she's a Congresswoman from Mexico, I have to do it.
Go, Araceli. I think that, yes, you're saying, Julio, you are asking very important questions, but we teachers have to listen. I think it's a moment to listen to students. This is a moment to tell them, to create safe spaces for them to talk, to learn, to relearn. Exactly. Sorry to interrupt, but when you say students do not want to take exams, or it's like students are looking for, where are the instructions written? Yeah, they want to see the instructions written because it is difficult to start talking again. They want to see things written. They can read them one and again and once again until they understand. So this is a time for teachers to be more empathetic with students, but also to be more flexible. Somebody, I think Julio Gladys said that students had to work. Many of our students had also to go and help the parents. They are working. And this is a time to show that we are on their side. We are not on the other side. We are with them to walk along with them, to help them. We need to be more flexible, more empathetic, but this is the moment to make them believe in themselves. How are we going to do this? By believing in ourselves too, by giving them an example or a model that if things change, we can do it. I think that many of these mental problems is because students are, or they feel behind, or they feel they cannot cope with everything that is going on these days. So let's also take a moment to listen to our students, not only in academic issues, but also on their personal issues. What's going on with you? If we create lots of channels to communicate with them, I think that would be the perfect way. If they don't show up in the meetings, for example, in the sessions, I send them a WhatsApp, I send them an email, and they are really, they respond.
Yeah,
They
thank you, Araceli.
Yeah.
Back to you, Julio.
Araceli, I think I would ask a question. I say, what about you as a teacher? What about me as a teacher? So I have to apply the same ideas that you have mentioned to myself, because I need to work on my mental health too. No, and the return to face-to-face has some like practical things that are going to affect us, like economy. Before, we didn't spend time on taking a taxi or a bus or filling up your car with petrol. Yes, but now it's like an expense, so they are more expensive. Now that sudden change, just a very simple thing like using your facial mask. Here in Peru, it's still obligatory to use facial masks. So we have to teach our class using a facial mask, and that's kind of a pain in the neck. Yes, and that affects my mental health. Very simple thing, no? And what we mentioned, no, students also come into our classrooms without that what I would say classroom habits. They have to relearn the classroom habits. No? So do I have to raise my hand? Do I have to ask for permission to go to the toilet? Can I eat something while I'm listening to you? No? Why not, teacher? When I was at home, I did it. No? And that causes stress there. And also just another simple thing, from teaching sitting up, like we're now sharing ideas, to now teaching standing up, walking around. No? So I was looking for some practical ideas to say that affects our mental health. And what should we do? That's a big question again here for me now. No? One thing is that what we're doing now, sharing our concerns, sharing our ideas. No? Now, looking at different points of view, sorry. And I say, well, that's going to help me with having my mental health in good condition. Yes. So here we talk about stress, anxiety, bullying, family problems, yes, depression, learning disability. Yes. So even when we were teaching at home, we had those problems, but now we learn how to manage them. And now we're going back to our classroom and I say, okay, I have to readapt myself, and that affects my mental health. So now Dennis, I think.
Okay, thank you. Gladys in Colombia, and then Dennis.
Thank you, Jaimito. Well,
Thank you.
I think that this is a very important and serious aspect because, for example, in our case, what we saw here at the university is that there are a lot of students and also teachers with that kind of problems. For sure, when the university said, okay, now we are going to start coming to face-to-face classes, many teachers and students really didn't want, yeah? They said, oh my goodness, go to face-to-face, but why? But next, we realized that it emerged a lot of mental problems with teachers and students. As a dean of the program of the Licenciatura en Lenguas at my university, so I detected that a lot of students had serious problems at home with their friends, problems to share with their classmates, a lot. So for sure at the university, there is an organization which is UDS. This is a special organization into the university to attend that kind of problems. What we did is to identify those students with problems, you know, being so ready, for example, to talk with teachers and say, okay, be ready with your students. If you say, if you can see that, if you see that the students, for example, don't come to class, if they prefer to be alone, if they, I don't know, any kind of particular situation, they had to identify those cases. Next, we call students, talk to them. Sometimes we could solve those problems at the office, right? Just talking with them. But in some other cases, in many other cases, really they were submitted to the psychologist at the university. What we realized during this semester that just we finished is that it was impossible for the university to attend all the cases of students with mental problems as well as teachers. At the end, the university had to hire more people, you know, to support those cases. And also they said, okay, well, the students, if we are not able to attend all the capacity that is required, students had to go to their EPSs, which are the entities that attend the population in general. Well, for sure, what I mean is that this is an important problem that we have to take care, that we must pay attention. And also, so give students all what we can, the time, the moment, talk, and to try to help them solve the problems and be there. Yeah, talking is very important, as one of you said. Yes, listen to them and be there for our students as well as for our teachers. Thank you.
No, thank you, dear Gladys. And back to you, Dennis in Ecuador.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that we know how students came because of all the situations they went through, not only because of the pandemic, which was being inside their homes, but also social problems, economical problems, parents that lost their jobs and so on. There are many things. What can we do? I mean, as an educational institution, and we need to put into action the student welfare department. This is a matter of all the members of the educational community in order to have students coming and telling us what's going on. Students and teachers, like Julio said, because this is not only a thing of students. Teachers have also gone through a lot. The situation is that people believe that because we're grown-ups, because we're adults, because we're the teachers, we can go through also depression or other mental problems. But I do believe that the first person that is in contact with the student before the students welfare department is the teacher. So somehow we need to start listening, like Araceli said. We need to listen to what's going on. We need to start observing if there is some change in the student's mood inside the class. And if they are, quiet, looking at their hands, or just with a lost sight or something like that, we need to talk to the student. I believe this first semester or trimester, wherever you guys are in right now, on face-to-face classes, we need to focus more on the students' mental health rather than if they are learning or not your subjects in class. Okay, it's really important because we need to add up to all the things that you guys have said, drugs and also abuse. Okay, these were students that were inside a place for a lot of time, men, and we can also talk about abuse. And all these situations we need to have into consideration and support our students and our community in order to not have more problems or more difficult situations in our educational environments. So I do believe this is a really hard work, but this is the work of the combination of everyone in the educational community. Okay, leaders, authorities, teachers, students, everyone should be involved, and everyone should be looking for these different expressions that there might be a problem.
Thank you, Dennis. And before listening to the expert in mental health and well-being and compassion, dear Raj, Araceli, do you have something else to add?
Yeah, just very brief. Yes, all this situation has uncovered the best and the worst of people. And
Yes.
yes, we people in their homes have suffered. Students are suffering. Some of them that was the reason some of them wanted to go back to school, because they felt safer in schools than in their homes. So it's been good, but at the same time, it has been very sad situation, and we need to help each other. We need to help them, but also we have to take care of ourselves in every aspect. That's all.
That's true.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think what Dennis and Araceli mentioned, definitely I agree, but I also think that the process of taking care of our mental health should start with ourselves, because if we are not ready, how can we help those students? Maybe you can do it, no? Because that's the job of a teacher. Yes, that's part of ourselves as our teacher self. But if we don't take care of, if I don't take care of my mental health first, it's going to affect me worse, no? Because Araceli, we also have problems at home. Maybe we have someone close to us who is into drugs. Maybe I just lost the spark for teaching, no? So, but I need to work on myself. So if I'm ready, if I take care of my mental health, I think I can do a lot for my students, and also not only for my students, but for my peers. And that's why it's so important to open those communication channels that we have at the schools with our own peers, and as Dennis mentioned, with the authorities, school authorities, maybe the ministry authorities, which is more difficult, obviously, but still, why not trying it? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Julio, Araceli, Dennis, and Gladys. Now let's listen to our expert. And the question, Raj, was, what should we do as teachers to help our students and ourselves to manage their mental health problems? And there was a question Julio asked. He said, is it the same well-being and mental health? Raj?
Well, I think I don't want to pose myself as an expert. Everybody's given some wonderful ideas. Thank you, Jaime, for asking. I think we have been adapting and innovating and being hyper vigilant for a very long time. COVID has lasted a very long time. So the changing and adapting has happened over such a long time. And so all of us need a break in some way. And how do we recognize that we cannot be hyper vigilant for such a long period of time without having some impact on our well being? And we are holding the students' needs, our family needs, our own needs. How do we give ourselves that acknowledgement that this has been a very fast paced, which has required a lot of effort for a very long period of time? And so I usually like to say, let's look at two things. Mental health sometimes has a little bit of stigma, but if we call it well being, it brings a different quality of energy to it. We're looking after the well being of ourselves. Mental health can have a stigma about there's something wrong with the person. There's nothing wrong with any of us. I think we are doing so much with so little and so fast. And so that's where I'm saying, and paying attention to the students and ourselves. If we start by ourselves, we can model that. We can demonstrate that. That shows the students that even the teachers need to take care of themselves. So some of you are nodding, so I'll turn it back to you, is let's acknowledge ourselves for the fast pace that we've handled, and let's give ourselves a break to say, what is it we need now in order to restore, to reframe, to recharge?
Yeah, thank you so much. Listening to you, dear Raj, I was thinking, we teachers have the chance and the opportunity of listening to us, of interacting, of giving our opinions about how we feel. I was thinking, what about if students from different parts of the world, just like us, have the chance of talking and commenting how they feel, the moments they cry, the problems they have? I think that would help them a lot. Okay.
Yeah. So Jaime, just one more thing. It's a great question to ask how you're feeling. Also asking, how is this impacting you? What is the impact on you? Because sometimes
Yes.
people shy away from how am I feeling. I don't know, so yeah, those are some of the
Sometimes, Jill,
questions.
sometimes we don't know how to answer that question.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Exactly.
If you ask me now how about the impact, and I say, well, I don't really know. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
difficult.
any which way, Julio, you frame the question, what the intention is to build connection.
Yeah, thank you. Tanya, you want to say something, but briefly, please,
Yeah,
Tanya?
okay. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, what I can say in short is we have to be more tolerant with our students before the pandemic, the lockdown, the emergency situation. Yeah, why? I would like to share some specific cases in my class. Yes, for example, when the student says, "Teacher, my work is left at home. Can I get?" Can I bring you tomorrow? Bring it tomorrow. And we can say yes, because yeah, we have to be more tolerant, I say. Yes, I said. Another case is, for example, when the one student is sick, yes, have health problems, and they or the tutor ask you to upload the lesson by WhatsApp. This is a use, it is forbidden, but we can use in these cases. So we need to have the time to the students to check the work, the activity, he's going to do, she's going to do. Yes, so this is other case. And other more, or the last case is when some students don't or never want to take out the mask. Yes, because as mentioned, Mr. Julio, is mandatory in Peru use a facial mask. Yes, but some of our students, my students, never want to take out it, and I insist when I need to listen to a participation. I insist with you take out please in this moment only, and never they want to take out. So there are some mental problems. Some psychology could be analyzed. No, could analyze.
Thank you, dear Tanya. Marco in Mexico or Irma in Ecuador, something else to say? You want to say something, Marco in Mexico, Irma in, briefly, please?
Very briefly, one of the things that I have seen, I'm not talking about university level students or teachers, but the ones that are working in the elementary and in those courses or grades that they were starting the class, starting the process in the school. For the teachers, a lot of frustration, yes, but I think that for all of us, for all the teachers, for all the levels, for all the students, this coming from the pandemic online classes or hybrid classes to face-to-face is again the opportunity to evolve again, us as teachers to provide the example of, yes, changes are not easy, but changes are good because it's the opportunity to show that we can evolve with the difficulties, with the challenges, with the skills that we have to reteach again, especially if you're learning how to write and read in elementary level. But I think it's the opportunity to show ourselves, to learn about ourselves again, about the skills that we have had within, that we didn't know, and we have to use it, reuse it. But it's very important to reflect on everything, because if we do not reflect, we're not aware of what's happening, what's going on, what am I doing or what am I supposed to do? It's not easy. And yes, I agree with Raj. Everything has been so fast, so fast. It's like thinking, reflecting, working, thinking, reflecting, evolving, teaching, reteaching, teaching by yourself, especially with technology, that's me. And so, yeah, it's an opportunity to rethink about everything, all the process. That's all.
Thank you, dear Irma. Thank you, dear Irma. Something else, Marco, to say briefly, please, Marco?
Yes, thank you. Well, I just want to say at this moment that there has been a lot of learning during these 2 years and a half. And well, we should try to take advantage of everything we have experienced in this time to try to improve as teachers and improve our classes and the learning of our students.
Yeah, thank you so much. And now we are going to go to the last question. The last question is Irma.
Sure. Question number 4. What should we expect about the teaching and learning process in the coming years?
Yeah, that's the question we've been asking. Julio has been asking, Gladys has been asking, everyone has been asking, and the answers. Now we will hear your answers. So you want to start, Dennis?
Okay, no problem, Jaime. Yeah, well, as I said, I believe that the answer to this question, what will happen in the future, or what should we expect about the teaching and learning processes in the coming years? Well, I had also here that the future educators will have to face the fact that students will need and want to learn in a flexible, personalized format. So for some, this may mean having a more technology-focused classroom. Students will want their learning experience to meet their interests, time constraints, and academic needs. Education has a vital role to play in developing the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values that enable people to contribute to and benefit from an inclusive and sustainable future. I love technology, but I also love the traditional way. I always believe that everything is a combination of what we learned and what is coming. I don't think that technology is the solution. And I also don't think that the traditional method is the solution. I believe that we are evolving as the world evolves as medicine evolves, as everything evolves. So we teachers and education is going to evolve too. So we will have two different types of teachers, the ones that evolve into what's coming and the ones that stay behind. So somehow we have the pandemic moved everyone who was not in favor of hybrid classes or blended learning or online classes and were just traditional face-to-face teachers into realizing that if we do this correctly, these can be the education of the future. So we need to evolve as teachers in order not to leave behind what we learned. I had a 2-hour dialogue with a teacher from a university in Canada. He's a teacher in 3 master's programs over there. And I contacted him to see some of the subjects of the master's program that we're creating. And one of the things that he said is that a lot of teachers believe that we need to look for new methodologies, new techniques, new strategies, new technology in order to teach, to have people doing something, but they're not taking into consideration the learning objectives. Oh, I did this awesome class. Students all participated. Yeah, but did you meet your learning objectives? And then they didn't know what to answer. But it was an active class. It was an amazing class. So he was saying, okay, I can meet my learning objectives by making my students repeat words. Okay, the pronunciation of words. School, that's the way we pronounce it, not a school, but school. And I have my students pronouncing that 3, 4, 5 times, and I reached my learning objective. So it's not a matter of trying to bring technology and try to have, oh, I'm using a computer, I'm using the internet, I'm using Kahoot, I'm using this, that, that. No, are you meeting your learning objective? Are students learning? Are we aware that they are really learning or not? And I believe that's the challenge. That's what's coming in the future. Are we evolving as teachers? Are we going to bring some of the good traits that we had when we were students from our old teachers to the new world? Are we able to do that? Are we able to adapt that to what's coming in the future? Okay, the possibility to have students that are in a face-to-face setting, students that are receiving their classes from home. These type of scenarios where the teacher might not be there on a lecture-based class, but students will be looking for the knowledge that they need in the time that they need and how they need it. Okay, so that's something that we need to consider. And again, I'm a believer that we need to combine all of these things, like the repeating strategy that we used when we were students back in high school, back in school. They still work. People learn English those days. So we don't need to blindfold ourselves thinking that new methodologies or new technologies or having a lot of activities inside classes mean that students are learning. They might be having a great time, but we need to be very aware and very balanced into what are we applying and basically what are our learning objectives or outcomes. And again, I believe that this is a matter of evolving. This is a matter of adapting. Okay, we need to adapt like everyone else in the world is adapting.
Thank you, dear Dennis. Next, Gladys, then Araceli, and finally Julio.
Thank you, dear. Well, first of all, I think that definitely we have to include virtual tools in our daily teaching and learning. You know, we have to take advantage of those tools, materials, and things that can help us to improve our education and our teaching. Second, I think it's necessary to create spaces to talk. Well, to talk among teachers, students, and to listen to everybody. Why? because I think this is necessary. And also because, you know, as human beings, this is important to communicate, to listen to each other. We really need interaction and communication as living beings. Another thing that I realized, for example, in our university, we have seen that, for example, many programs, especially postgraduate programs, are migrating to virtual education. So why? I think this is because, especially in postgraduate courses or programs, so this is an advantage because in this way, many students and teachers from all around the world can be part of those programs. And also this is very good because, so as you can see, we can interact and improve education, especially in those levels. And that's also something that we got and that we can improve with our practice and also with the experience we had with the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Gladys. Araceli, Mexico.
Yes, well, first I expect more conscious learning from my students and more conscious learning, teaching from teachers. We should include everything we have learned during this experience. That would not be okay if we pretend that nothing has happened and that we are going back to normal again, because this is not going to be normal. We have learned and we have all gone through this experience. Also, something that has been in my mind is that I prepare future teachers, and I also work with the master students, and we have to make them aware of these changes. They have to be more positive looking into these changes, because what is going to happen in the future? We don't know. And they have to be more open to what is coming. I always tell them, don't expect or don't have this image of yourself in front of a classroom. What's going to happen in the future? Probably you will be teaching online. Probably your clone is going to be teaching in one classroom and another, because I have seen that is happening in some cases.
I love that about having a clone.
Yeah, dark clone, or how do they call it, a hologram?
Yes.
In some universities, they are already using this kind of instruction, so that on virtual education, they see the teacher in front of them. So we don't know what's going to happen. What we cannot let happen is that we just act as if nothing has happened, because many things have changed. And I think we need to keep our hope for the future and for a better future.
Yeah, thank you. Here, Debra Suarez in Facebook Live, she wrote, now we are teachers, we are considered teachers as change managers. So that's true.
That's nice.
Good one.
Yeah, and finally Julio, and then people who are in the audience will have the chance of giving their opinion. Julio.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with what Araceli and Dennis and Gladys have mentioned. We have to adapt, yes, because I was asking myself the question, what lies ahead? What lies ahead? And to me, it's still an uncharted territory. We still have to work hard on what we're doing. And I don't know if you notice, but now I'm trying to say teaching learning context, not just teaching. No, and that's what has to do with what Dennis mentioned at the beginning. Yes, just sometimes we focus too much on the teaching and we forget about the learning. And that's a big question. Are my students learning? Regardless of the teaching learning context they are in. It could be face-to-face, online, or hybrid. So how can me as a teacher, how can I know if my students are learning? How can I know if my teaching was successful or efficient? Yes. So I would work a lot also on being a reflective teacher. Because if you are a reflective teacher, no matter what sort of teaching learning context you are in, you pay attention to what you do, you pay attention to what you don't do, you pay attention if you have evolved, if you have adapted, you pay attention to the learning of your students. And now that the use of technology is here to stay, yes, yeah, we have to use it, but what for? What for? What is the purpose of the use? The same, before what is the purpose of using a reading text? Now, what is the purpose of using this e-tool? What am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to get my students to achieve? Yes. So we have to work on that. We have to work on different skills, as you mentioned, no? The skill of being collaborative, of being independent. They're not just because you give an activity or you give a task where they have to collaborate, they're going, oh yes, they will be collaborating just by sort of magic. No, we have to start working from school. The question is, are we doing it? Yes. And if we are, how we are doing it? So we have to think of different different areas, not only just the teaching, the methodology, and yeah, we have everybody talks about the flipped learning and the whatever learning nowadays, no? 20 years ago, he said, how do you teach? Communicatively, and they spend like half an hour teaching grammar point. And there are still teachers who do that. Yes, I'm not saying if it's wrong or right. No, I'm not judging here, but it's just I'm giving the idea. Say, yeah, okay, that's your methodology, but is it working? Are you adapting it to the needs of your students, to the reality of your students? Yes. Here, for example, Raj, I suppose you don't have much, or yeah, you may have the problem, but here in Peru, interconnectivity is a big problem.
Well, she does. When she's trying to connect.
Maybe in Canada, the interconnectivity is a bit better than in Peru. I'm talking about Peru. I don't know in Ecuador or Colombia or Mexico, but
we do have the same problem. I think it's Latin America.
Yeah, there you are. Yes, and those problems are the ones that we say, how can we deal with that? Do I have a backup plan in case interconnectivity fails? What do we do? Oh, we go back to WhatsApp. And if they don't have WhatsApp, well, I have this in case. Now, so what about developing those new skills that we have to do? How can we develop these social and affective dimensions through the teaching learning in an online environment? So we have to adapt, yes, but not only ourselves, not only our teaching, but there are other skills that we have to think about and to see, okay, I'm going to, how can I foster, how do you foster rapport in your online classes? And will there be a rapport if it's a completely online course? Is it possible? To me, those are the challenges, rather than just applying a new methodology or using the latest technology available. I think I go more for the little details than the big ones, no? Because the big ones are, to me, if I go to I don't know how to use such a LMS, I go to Tanya or Araceli and say, I don't know how to use this, and they can help me with that. But the details say, how can I establish rapport with my students in a complete online teaching learning environment, or in a hybrid one? Even in a face-to-face one nowadays, because people have changed, students have changed.
Life has changed.
Life has changed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think, Julio, I agree with you that the technology and all of those are an element, but the human element is universal.
Say that again?
Yeah, the human element is universal. Everywhere in the world, teachers, students, families are affected by what has happened. The technology might be different in different countries, but the human impact is shared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to wrap up and make a summary of what we have been discussing this morning. These are the 5 questions that you, 4 guest speakers, answer. What are the challenges and difficulties in these 3 types of classes? What are the opportunities? What should we do as teachers to help our students and ourselves to manage our mental health problems? And the last question, what should we expect about the teaching? So before we finish, I would like to hear some of you who haven't participated yet, like Davy, Maite, Paulina, JP, Dalia Tiquiyahuanca, Arabella Mena, Maria Elba Zambrana from Bolivia, or Gladys Arias. Please, any one of you. If not, who hasn't participated yet? Dalia?
Oh,
Good morning
I
to
will be brief,
Sorry,
right? I
Tanya,
will be brief, yeah.
Tanya, sorry. Dalia?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Sorry,
Dalia. Okay, good morning to all. Yes, I was writing my comments in the chat. Okay, about a question about the difficulties um, in students.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I thought is that yes, in face-to-face classes, well, we can see a lot of problems in the students in their learning, because the reality in some places, for example, in Peru, there are some schools that are in rural areas, so the students, they don't have connection with the internet. So I see a lot of problems in their learning. So in these phases, in these face-to-face classes, we have to make a review. Okay, so they can have the level, no, the same level of the other students. So that's the reality here, well, in some areas. No?
Where do you teach, Dalia?
I teach in Peru, in Chiclayo, in Morope, in
Okay.
a town called Caracucho.
Mm-hmm.
So the students
Okay.
live in the country, in the countryside. So that's the problem. They don't have internet. Sometimes they don't have live service. So that's the problem. But now we are teaching with in faces to faces classes. So we have to, we are improving. We are improving the learning. They are improving in their learning. So I'm seeing good results. So I hope that results, the positive results, will continue.
Thank you so much, Dalia. David, Arabella, Gladys, Maite, please, something brief, please.
Good morning, Mr.
Good
Jaime.
morning, Arabella.
Arabella from Arequipa, Peru.
Oh, hello from the White City.
Yes, White City. And thank you to give us this opportunity to reflect, because I was listening you and I reflect too much about my working. And this is a good opportunity for everybody to reflect about how we are working in a digital way, because we change our environment. Nowadays, we are working as a digital, some institutions, educative institutions, and others are in presential, but it's a real situation that we are going to continue using digital tools. And this is a good opportunity to continue thinking, how can we improve in a digital way the learning of our students? Because the most important is our learners. but as a teacher, we have to continue improving our different strategies. How can help them? That is our mission, I think, that we have to continue using the presential environment and the digital environments to continue improving this. We are going to help each other, similar to this opportunity that you are giving us, this webinar, help us too much to reflect. How can we continue improving? Thanks, Mr.
Thank you, dear Arabella. Jaime, no Mr.
Jaime.
Okay, so
Thank
we
you,
are
Jaime.
going to give you the last minutes to express your final message. In this order, please. Gladys, Araceli, Dennis, Julio, and finally our president, the president of our Universal English Teachers Association, Raj. But first, I would like to say something. Thank you so much for so many wonderful, beautiful ideas, reflections, and questions that we need to answer. But remember that our mental health is really important in our houses, in our schools, in our institutions, so we can do a better job, right? So Gladys, you start with your final message today.
Thank you, Jaimito, and thank you, everybody, for sure. I think it was a very special and a very nice moment because as we are talking, we have to listen each other, right? In order to share our expectations, our feelings, our problems. In this way, I think that we can maybe visualize some solutions or anyway share, which is very important. This is a way to grow in our education, our methodologies, and everything that we do every day. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jaimito, and everybody. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, my dear Gladys, and hope to see you in Tunja next year again.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Araceli in Mexico,
Well,
in the beautiful Puebla.
Beautiful Puebla that is waiting for you, Jaime.
I'll go.
Everybody, of course. Well, okay, thank you. First, thank you for this opportunity. I love being here. I have been here several times, and it's always nice to come and see friends and see people that I love. And what I want to say, the final reflection is that we must make sure that we are available for each other.
Mhm.
Let's make sure that we can give our students support, we can give them a hand, but also our peers. Let's make at least our environment, our field, our place a better place by being here, by listening, by taking care, by helping each other. I think that is going to help with this issue of mental health. Probably this is because of the isolation many people have been for 2 years. So let's reach people and tell them that we are here. There will be always to listen to you, to help you without any interest. Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity, Jaime. It was nice to see Dennis and to see everybody. To see Dennis, Julio again. See you soon. See you in a week. Yes?
Yes, see you in a week. Thank you, dear Araceli. Dennis in Ecuador.
Thank you very much, Jaime, for the invitation. Again, it's like Sally said, it's really nice to see people that I know, like her, Julio. We met a lot of times in Peru. And Irma, at least I'm looking at you now through the web. I've seen Tanya in other presentations, I'm pretty sure, because she's from Piura. I'm not sure if I have seen you, Tanya, face to face when I was presenting there, but I've know your name and I've seen your name in these webinars that Jaime is doing.
It will be a pleasure.
Yeah, remember that what Mandela said once, that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So my thoughts will be that we're teachers, and as everyone else, doctors, dentists, economists, whatever, we need to evolve, adapt, change. And we're teachers because we want to form students, and we are here for them. And it's really good to see people on a Sunday listening to this discussion and commenting that it has been, good for them, and it has opened their minds to what's coming. So I'm really happy, Jaime. Well, this is the first presentation that I have this year. I have had a really crazy year, my PhD program, plus other
Talking about
courses.
mental health, right?
Yes, my friend, I've been definitely, and presenting for the first time this year, or at least having a roundtable, a conversation with friends, more than a roundtable, and organized by you. It's a pleasure, my friend. I'm really thankful for that, and I hope to see you guys probably next year face to
In
face.
Yachai, at Yachai University.
We're not doing the conference this year, at least not face to face. We were planning on doing it, but then this indigenous situation, put us again to remote working. And but next year, we're pretty sure we'll do it. So I hope we can see ourselves there. Okay. Have an amazing conference, pewter conference next week, Jaime, and all of the presenters will be there.
Thank you. And finally, Julio Valladares.
Yeah, hi. I'm just, again, I always say thank you to Jaime for these opportunities, because it gives me the opportunity to learn, because I have to read a little bit, to check a little bit, to ask a little bit, and that's a way of learning. And I'm going to borrow Dennis' word from evolving and changing. I think what I have to say is going back to a very simple question. How do you feel? A simple and yet so important question for teachers. How do you feel? How do you feel before COVID? How do you feel during COVID? How do you feel now in the new post-COVID era? So if we ask ourselves that simple question, but taking into account the reflection that we should do, yes, I think is going to help us evolve. It's going to help us adapt. Yes, I'm not talking about only the teacher self. I'm also talking about the person self, you as a person, as a teacher. Because if we are prepared, if we get our mental health strengthened, then we can give more. We can deal with our students' problems in a more helpful way. We're not going to solve them all. We know that. We're not superheroes here. Yes, but at least we know that we can have that hand ready for our students when they need it. And this is one of the most important jobs of a teacher. Yes, because we're not just giving knowledge. Yes, we are forming people, and sometimes we forget that. Yes. And that's why, again, how do you feel? Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity.
No, thank you, Ria Julio, and our president's words, Raj.
Well, I love what Julio was saying about feelings, and each of you have shared a lot of information. And I think often we say, what do you think? What do you think? And it's important to be connected to our feelings. So there's three things that I want to say about reflecting, reframing, and then refreshing. You know how the computer gets tired, we say refresh your screen. So we need to refresh as well. It's been very refreshing to be with you this morning for me, anyways, and look forward to next time we meet. And let's do a reset.
That is Sunday, the 17th of July. Yeah, could you say the three words again, please, Raj?
I was saying reflecting. It was brought up in our conversation to reflect on what has happened, and then reframe things, not just from the thinking perspective, but from the feeling perspective, and then also refreshing, and take a new start.
Yes.
And I think human connection is absolutely essential. Let's not replace it with technology. Let's keep the human connection.
Yeah, you see, that's why you are our president. You see, Raj?
Thank you for the honor.
For all your wisdom, knowledge, and sympathy. So thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure as usual. So hope to see you. Keep safe, stay safe, eat healthy. We didn't talk about
message to me,
yeah, we didn't talk about eating healthy, but that has to do something. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, David. Thank you, Arabella, Dalia, Gladys, Aracela, Irma, Marco, Raj, Danis, and everyone else in Facebook Live. See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, yes, Raj.
Because we're
Thank you
talking
very
about
much.
feelings, I think it's important everybody share at least one feeling before you go.
Yes. Yeah. So my feeling is peace. Peaceful.
Yeah,
Peace and
passion.
love.
We are up-to-date teachers now.
Yeah.
Up-to-date teacher now, we are, yeah.
I'm
Thanks.
happy with
Yeah.
everything that I'm
Happiness.
is.
Joy,
Happiness.
joy for being with
Happiness.
you.
Optimist.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, dear
Grateful.
President.
Grateful.
Thankful. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
More complete platforms are coming.